two young people destined for an intertwined future. Alfaria, a young mage with great power and determination, and Will, an apparently ordinary boy without the ability to use magic, but with an unbreakable will. One day, their paths parted when Alfaria, full of courage and magic, had to continue her mission. "I know it well," Alfaria said with a soft smile. "You are kinder and braver than anyone." Her words were comforting, but they also carried the sadness of a farewell. "And now, I say goodbye," she added before turning around. Will, with a pounding heart, reached out to her. "Elfie," he shouted, unable to hide the pain of seeing her leave. "I will reach the tower too," he exclaimed, determined not to be left behind. "Even without magic, even if everything tries to separate us, I will reach you no matter the cost." With that promise, Will committed himself to not letting his limitations define him. "We will watch the sunset together," he added, recalling a promise they had made years ago. Alfaria, with a sweet but firm look, nodded. "It's a promise," she whispered. "I will always be waiting for you. Always." But despite her promise, Will knew there was a long road ahead. Standing in the bustling city of Urbis Regarden, the capital of magic, he felt the weight of being just a boy without magic in a world where everyone else mastered it. "This is the last time I cry like this," he told himself, wiping away his tears. "And that I feel pathetic." He had made a decision, nothing would stop him again. The city buzzed with activity, and as Will handed out the day's newspapers, one headline left him speechless. "Alvis Vina, Alfaria, creates a new original magic," he read quietly. "She's the first to invent 12 spells." Alfaria was still moving forward, and he couldn't fall behind. But what surprised him the most was that she herself had sent a task to the academy, one that required the help of her peers. Later, Rosti. Will called out to his roommate, a talented craftsman of magical objects. "Can you make a magical object for me?" With a smile, Rosti handed him what he needed. "Be careful," he said before Will ran off towards the dungeon. The dungeon was filled with students, all seeking to complete Alfaria's task. Among them was Shounen, a young man who had easily mastered magic and looked down on everyone else. Will knew he couldn't compete in magical skill, but he had something Shounen didn't, an unshakable determination. "Watch out!" Will yelled when he saw a young student in danger. Without thinking, he rushed to her rescue, not with magic, but with a sword. The girl, Iris, looked at him in astonishment. "You didn't use magic?" she asked, surprised. Will, panting, made sure she was okay. "My name's Will," he said with a smile. Meanwhile, at the academy, conversations revolved around Alfaria and her feat of creating 12 spells. Alfaria's fame was spreading, and some students, like Colette, began to feel a mix of admiration and jealousy. "Will's friend is incredible," she murmured, wondering if he was in the dungeon at that very moment. Back in the dungeon, Iris looked at Will with curiosity. "You're the older boy everyone talks about, the one who can't use magic, an unprecedented failure." Iris' words struck like a slap, but she didn't mean to hurt him. "Why would I look down on the person who saved me?" she said sincerely. And with that, Will realized something important: not everyone saw his limitations as a weakness. Despite his lack of magical skills, Will is clever and experienced, relying on his wisdom and instincts instead of spells. As they teamed up to complete the mission, they discovered a dangerous frost rex, a formidable creature. Despite Iris' warnings about the futility of physical attacks, Will easily defeated the monster using his combat experience and knowledge of the creature's weaknesses. This action puzzled and amazed Iris, who began to question the rumors about Will. The young warrior, though without magic, proved that his strength lay in his creativity and ability to adapt, making him intriguing to Iris. She couldn't help but notice that, while other mages relied on their powers, Will had learned to master the unknown through his own experience. Meanwhile, in the high spheres of the Mage's Tower, the leaders discussed the fate of the world. The Day of Destiny, a prophecy foretelling the end of balance, was approaching. Among them, Alfaria, the Ice Maiden, mentioned Will. Despite some despising him for his lack of magic, others saw in him unexpected potential. Later, Iris, fascinated by Will's nature, recommended him as a candidate for the Mage's Tower. Despite the rejection from some, the powerful Zeus, known for his open-mindedness, showed interest in the young warrior. As the magical leaders debated his future, the Great Magic Festival was approaching, a trial that would determine who was worthy of ascending to the highest ranks.